Welcome back to ICO Review. Today's just about going over some relevant news items to do with the ICOs that we went over earlier in the week. There's going to be a little bit of Bloom and a whole lot of Naga, if I'm being honest with you. The boys over at Naga have had a busy week. Let's just touch on Bloom real quick. So they've entered into a partnership with a security verification program called Typing ID. Typing ID is a verification system that learns to identify users by the way they type on their smartphone. Typing ID model takes into consideration data from multiple sensors, including combinations of force and motion. That's a pretty unique way, in a very interesting way of going about the whole security aspect, especially ongoing security. I suppose that, especially as technology develops, there's only so much you can do to stop people from getting passwords or getting usernames, etc. This adds an interesting layer. It adds an interesting equation in that every single time you input data, every single time you log in, every single time you edit something, it's going to be monitoring. Just compare your input patterns to your previous input patterns. My only concern is there going to be a button that you can check on login that says, I've lost a finger or I've got an injury? I do wonder what happens in that case, but of course that's the extreme. That is the utmost extreme. It's a very cool way of approaching security, and also engaging in innovative technology, especially with all the hype around AI. I imagine that this little bit of partnership will add a bit of extra interest to the Bloom token and ICO itself. Moving on to Naga. These lads have had a busy week, very busy week indeed. Importantly, for the community aspect of things and the communication aspect of things, they conducted their first Q&A session live on YouTube. And they covered everything from the wallet, the card, at what point KYC will affect you, if at all, market cap, and also information relating to Zytex and Swipe stocks as well. So it's a really solid 40 minutes. Link is in the description below as per normal. I encourage, if you're interested in this project, going and watching this, because for me, it just served to give me more confidence in the project, especially as people have been raising a few questions about market cap. Their response about market cap is absolutely fantastic, as well as calling Roger Ver Bitcoin Jesus. Moving on with Naga. Again, on the social front, they've reached over 1,000 members on the Telegram now, which that's an important reflector of engagement and of interest. On the live Q&A, as well as in some articles that are doing the rounds now about Naga, the boys mentioned a name, Miko Matsumura, who is a pretty interesting guy, founder of cryptocurrency exchange Evercoin, which, if anybody's been floating around exchanges, you would have heard of Evercoin at least once, and is also a limited partner with Pantera Capital ICO Fund, which I'll be honest, I hadn't heard of, but $100 million ICO-only fund is a pretty big deal, in my opinion. I was actually fortunate enough to have a conversation with Yasin about Miko and what he's like to deal with, etc., to try and gain an understanding of how Miko would impact the Naga project. I'll paraphrase a little bit for the sake of brevity, but Yasin went on to describe Miko as not only extremely well connected and respected, but that he has a brilliant mind of his own, but especially in regards to ICOs and ICO funding. He's got a really interesting thesis, actually, that ICOs face the following challenges: product development, user adoption, but then most importantly, the ability to attract users to buy tokens, not only initially, but ongoing. And in applying that thesis to Naga, that's precisely why he decided to join the project, allegedly. He decided to support them as he feels they have proof of concept on all those items, especially making the users buy tokens. They've already proven that they can attract, in his words, millions in fiat every month. And that would be, proof in the pudding with Swipe Stocks. They've already got an established user base in Swipe Stocks. They have that captive audience. And with integrating this entire ecosystem, there should be a continuous demand for the token, whether it be Swipe Stocks, whether it be Zwitech. There's always going to be a continual use. I'll go on to quote this last bit directly. Miko kind of calls us like the first amphibians crawling out of the traditional oceans to evolve. And I quite like that in terms of ICO 1.0 versus ICO 2.0. If you can conceptualize that for me. We've seen a lot of ICOs operating in the crypto world, but Naga is truly hybridizing crypto and traditional finance worlds. So some great insight. There's some absolutely great insight provided by Yassin. And if you're watching this, I do thank you for that. And the final thing I've got for you is just the payment screen here for ICO when that kicks off. You can pay with Dash, Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, credit card, and bank transfer. So a perfect example of hybridizing the ICO and the traditional finance worlds. There are plenty of ways to access this particular ICO, and they're living true to that hybridizing, living true to that vision. I'm really looking forward to seeing the rate at which this ICO progresses. And we've got 18 hours and 11 minutes until ICO kicks off. That's all I have for you all today. I hope you've enjoyed the news updates. I've been your crypto enthusiast, and I'll see you in the next video.